Hey, this is Manuj Aggarwal, founder and chief innovation officer of Tetranodal Technologies. And if you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I am super excited to bring you my interview with somebody that I immensely respect, especially when it comes to the AI world. A lot of people know I've did podcasts on it, I've did coaching on it, how I'm really digging into artificial intelligence or AI and how it can really help you level up and move into the world. My good friend Manuj Aggarwal, who has a top 1% podcast, which I listen to. I don't miss an episode because he just drops some serious, awesome knowledge nuggets, and that will be down the show notes. But listen to what he teaches us about education, information, worry, anxiety, and what life will really give you, and it's going to give you what you need. So I want you to really break out your notebooks on this one, sit back, relax, because here comes my really good friend, Manuj Aggarwal. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I am super excited to bring on my good friend Manuj Aggarwal. He's over on the left coast out in British Columbia, Vancouver, Columbia, and he's really into AI. And we just had an awesome conversation off mic about how we can really use AI and get over the fears. And the kind of the downtrodden stuff that you hear from, college kids are going to write their papers with it, all this kind of stuff. And like Manuj really knows how to use it to help you level up. And he is a thought leader in AI and startups who has impacted over 10 million lives and generated over 500 million in value. With experience working with clients like Microsoft and IBM, he's spoken at the UN alongside the Secretary General and Nobel Peace Prize winner. And his work has been mentioned by President Barack Obama and Bill Gates. With 4 patents in AI, he's the perfect person to learn from about how AI can benefit you all. He's a founder of Tetranoodle. And thank you, Manuj, for coming on. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. My favorite color is red. I think the reason is like it stands for life. It stands for excitement, adventure. So when you see red, I mean, generally the red is for stopping, but I feel like red is, it sort of invigorates you to do more.
Absolutely. Kind of like Tiger Woods always wears red, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of my neighbor. He lives just a couple miles away. And, he's kind of a big deal around here, I guess, in the world too. But no, red is perfect for you, man. Look, you got it in your background. And if you're watching on YouTube or Vimeo Squad, he's a handsome devil. And he knows a lot about a lot. His podcast is a top 1% globally. So out of over 3 million podcasts, he's a top 1%er. I'm only a top 2%er. I'm trying to catch up to him. But yeah, Manuj, can you get to the roots of where you kind of started and what brought you up to how you level up the masses, like literally the masses, bro? I mean, you're a humble dude, but you did some damage in this world and in a good way.
Well, my journey started quite humble beginning. Like a lot of people, I used to work in a factory in India for $2 a day, working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Wow.
And basically, it was the toughest life you can imagine. But that gave me the motivation to find new ways to improve my life, to uplift myself. And I found that in technology. So I became passionate about technology and I learned that I was good at it. And once those things started to to fall in place, I realized that the power that technology has, because what I could do was I could write a line of code on my computer and put it out there on the internet, and it can impact, that line of code can help probably a million people. So with 1 hour of my time, I could make a huge impact. So when I started realizing it, I started doing it more and more, and also started going into sectors and industries which have direct impact on large populations. So meaning education and healthcare and housing, real estate, transportation. These are the things that everyday people use. And so when you build technology for these industries, the impact is humongous. And that's those are the sort of simple principles that I apply in my work today, even to see, okay, is this project going to impact a lot of people or not? Is this technology going to help me make an impact on large amount of people or not? And once you start to adopt those sort of criteria for your work, other people who have aligned values, like the names that you mentioned, President Obama and
Yeah.
Bill Gates, those guys, those kind of people are also looking for these similar solutions. So if you go down this path, sometimes you'll find their priorities and your priorities overlap. It's
Yeah.
not by design. I didn't even know until the project was done and we delivered it and the results came out, and a year later Bill Gates mentioned it. 2 years later President Obama mentioned it.
That's
So
so
you
cool.
don't know that you don't know when you're going through it what you are actually creating in the world.
Right.
But if your intention is the right one,
Yeah.
then it sort of flourishes.
I love that you're the intention part of it. And it's kind of like a lot of people say, I'll believe it when I see it, right? Like you and I, we kind of see it when we believe it. Like we believe in something so much that can help the masses, and what you're doing with helping the masses and those segments of real estate and industry and stuff. That's fantastic. But with those roots, you're kind of working for peanuts, you're in India. And I have a lot of Indian friends, man. I'm not trying to stereotype anything here, but was your parents trying to push you to be that doctor or engineer or anything else like that? I'm just curious.
The interesting thing in my case was that so the factory that I worked in, it actually was my dad's factory, and he raised me as a factory worker with a
Okay.
deliberate sort of deliberate intention to make me a hardworking person. I understand that now, but during as I was going
Back
through that,
then, you hated
that was, yeah,
it. Right.
that was terrible, right? So
Right.
my parents actually did not want me to study at all. They wanted me to become this machine who can uh, produce a lot of money and sort of build a business and all of that. They were trying to push me towards that. And I still don't have a very how can I say it, like, prestigious education. I have very humble
Okay.
education.
That's
But
refreshing to hear,
yeah,
dude. Yeah.
yeah. And then but the positive effect of this upbringing was that I learned to create massive returns with little resources, because that's what I had to do over and over again, to figure out, okay, I only have this much, I only have a little bit of time, little bit of money, no contacts. How do I get to the top?
Wow.
And once you start to mold your brain into that, you can start to find a lot of solution. In fact, I'm kind of thankful I didn't go into like a traditional education system, because I feel like the education system today, it sort of numbs you down. It sort of it
Pigeonholes you. Kind
yeah,
of like,
yeah,
boom. It's like, yes, what if that job goes away and stuff?
exactly.
I did 7 years in the military, went to college for 2 semesters. And
Mm.
luckily, my fraternity burnt the house down, right?
Oh, wow.
And so a guy that owned the house was a legacy or an alumni of the fraternity, right? And again, I
Yeah.
only went to school for like 3 semesters, but
Uh,
he's like, hey, you're older, because that's 25 when I got out of the military, right? And here I am
mm,
hanging out with these 18,
mm,
20-year-old
mm,
kids.
mm.
And he's like, why don't you help me buy a new house? And I was like, oh, and that's how real estate kind of rolled in, right? Like my
Yeah.
dad worked on the line at General Motors in Detroit building cars,
Mm,
and he
mm.
was like, you and I probably take the hard work that was instilled in us
Yes,
and
yes,
just
yes.
learn to make it smarter in a
Exactly.
sense, but we still have that discipline and we know how to get down if we have to. I
Yeah,
love that, man.
yeah.
So let's dig in, just because of time. I really want to get into AI with you, if you don't mind here, Manoj.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah.
let's go with the benefits that you're seeing of AI to society, to businesses, to personal. Like, what are your feelings on the benefits of AI?
Well, a lot of people don't realize, how AI has already been a part of our lives for the last 20 years. So I'll give you a few examples of how we have implemented AI. So we have helped people with joint pains. um, using AI and 3D printing, we help them fix their joint pains, improve their
Wow.
stamina, improve their performance.
So good.
We have helped students learn better by providing personalized curriculums to them, because today, if you go into a classroom of 30, every student is getting the same curriculum, even though we know as human beings some students are more advanced and some need more help. So why don't we give personal curriculums to each
Mm.
student based on their
Thank you.
level of, yeah,
Yes.
right. Then we built systems for sales and marketing, because small businesses, even large businesses, their main challenge is always cash flow and sales and revenue. So with AI today, you can create virtual sales agents who can sort of go out and find that perfect client for you while you're sleeping, and just book the appointments on your calendar. So all of these practical
Mm.
things are happening, and it has created tremendous amount of wealth already in the world. If you look at the richest people in the world, Jeff Bezos, Amazon is
Yeah.
all AI. Elon
Yeah.
Musk, Tesla is actually not a car company. It's actually an AI company.
Yeah,
It's a
you're
data
right.
company, right?
Yes.
So you can see the wealth that has already been created. But now the exciting part is, with the release of ChatGPT, everyone can feel and touch and utilize the power of AI. That is the game changer, because AI was being used by large companies or people who knew the power of it and had deep pockets. Like, I have benefited tremendously from AI, but now the exciting part is everybody can benefit from it.
Sure. And so let's open up that proverbial can around here. People thinking, professors and stuff that are like, oh, kids are going to write term papers. We're going to cheat our way to the top. Because I'm 100% on board with this. We talked off mic on how it really leveled up this podcast alone, right?
Mhm.
With downloads and just exposure. And it's what you wrote where you said that you created a lot with a little. AI can really help you do that in a
Absolutely,
sense.
absolutely,
Now,
absolutely.
how the naysayers that are out there, that are the pushback that you're getting, how are you handling that, Manuj?
See, uh, this is no different than any other sort of technology wave that
Thank
has
you.
happened in the
Yes.
past, right? Like,
Right.
so, not even like, go back to the time when a caveman wanted to store some food for his or her family, because the caveman had to go out and hunt for food every day. But then one day they said, oh wow, how about if I kill a big animal and I store it in my cave, and I can eat for 30 days.
Right.
Since that time, humans have always feared new ways of doing things, new inventions. We have always been afraid, oh, what will happen, this will take away my job, or AI is going to take over the world. If you are old enough, you may remember the Y2K problem, when the internet sort of came out. Y2K problem was that in the year 2000, people were
Yeah.
afraid
Yeah.
there's not going to be any groceries left in the grocery store. The power grids are going to fail. So much fear was
Armageddon,
there.
right?
Exactly, and nothing came out of that, right?
Sure.
And then so it's the same thing now. The only unfortunate thing is, people have been affected disproportionately by the depiction of Hollywood. The Terminator, the movie Terminator,
Genesis
and
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 all that
similar
stuff. Yeah.
similar movies. But the fact is, AI is just a tool. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't like it, just switch it off. That's it.
Right.
It's not going to take over humanity if you don't use it. And then, in terms of taking away jobs, that's another concern. It's never the technology takes away your job, but if you don't adapt to the new environment, somebody else will take away your job. So imagine, if you're applying for a job today and you say, oh, I don't use email, I don't want to use email, I don't have an email address. How far do you think you will get in that
Not
job
far.
application,
Not
right?
far.
So somebody else with an email address, even though they have lower qualifications, they'll get the job. It's the same thing with AI. right?
Right.
And now talking about, students are going to write their papers with AI. This is an antiquated phenomena about education itself. So we should think about, what is education? Is it about remembering things, or is it about understanding things? Right. So is it about, if it is about understanding things, and if the computer can help us remember the facts, we don't need to really remember the facts. But if we understand the premise of the situation, what was the lesson learned, and how should I apply in my life,
Right.
then I don't even need to write a paper.
Right.
This education system is going to be antiquated in the next 10 years. So
Right.
we really need to reinvent uh, our our world, and that is the impact of AI. That is why it is such a game changer, and that's why, people like me are sort of yelling from the top of the mountain,
Right.
hey, do you know what is happening? Do you know what's coming?
Right. I love that you're doing that too. And I mean, the freaking calculator was AI for
Exactly.
years. If
Yeah.
you look at it, like if you had a calculator in school, I don't know how old you are. I'm 51. So I was in school
Mhm.
in the 70s and 80s. So if you had a calculator in school, you're pretty cool to have it, but teachers would like put that stuff away. Remember that,
Exactly.
dude? And it's like
Exactly.
now you don't
Exactly.
even show up without one. And
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how
Yeah. Yeah.
AI is going, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it, man. So when you start talking to people about AI and stuff like that, Manuj, what is there any question that you wish they would ask you but never do about AI?
Yeah, they never ask about how it will change their business. What is, like, I think what people lack is imagination. They just look at the surface of what is happening with AI. As you mentioned, there's a lot of content being generated by AI, which is the surface level solution that we can apply.
Sure.
But as I said earlier, there are much deeper solutions you can start to develop. You can start to focus on, finding cure for diseases. You can start
Yes.
to focus on finding solutions for climate change. You can start to focus on how to motivate people. Things that are not even linked with
Yeah.
AI. You can start to, basically, what AI is an add-on to your human mind. Okay, so
Yes.
imagine like you get an you get a pair of Nike runners which make you run faster.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with your mind, with AI. Like it is actually enhancing your IQ to 1,000, like that, overnight.
Yes.
And now it is up to you to figure out, what do you want to do with this IQ of 1,000.
Right.
So that is what I wish people were looking at it more. And I mean, of course it takes time, it will happen
Yeah.
organically, but I think if people started to realize the power, they will start to ask deeper questions,
Right.
and the impact will be much higher.
I love that. And it's helped me in a situation, not even what we had talked about before, but a friend of mine said, put this Max AI Google plugin on your computer, right? So I did it. And I was in the middle of a coaching session. And this client, I'll just say she was on the cover of People magazine 12 times. Okay. I'm blessed to have her. But I was stuck, dude. Okay. And I even told her about this. Okay. After the fact, dude, I opened up that little side panel. I put in the scenario. I said, give me 5 questions to ask in a coaching situation. This dude saved the session, bro. Like that is money, for me. And it was like, wow. And she's actually super cool about it because it changed the whole trajectory, but because of AI, I probably would have survived, Manush, to be honest with you, but I thrived because of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you something. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes, of course.
Let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Okay, let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old Manush. Okay, what kind of knowledge nuggets, that's what we call them here at Time to Shine Today, what kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on him? Not so much to change anything, because your journey, Gates, Obama, I mean, it's been pretty damn good. But what would you tell him to maybe shorten the learning curve or blast through maybe just a little bit quicker?
I think the biggest thing is not to worry. Worry and anxiety and stress about the future is what holds everyone back, and it held me back for a number of years.
Sure.
But I think if I just trusted things will just work out, I would have been much further
Love
ahead.
that.
But I think it's just a journey that every human being has to take.
Yeah. People get that paralysis, that kind of, it's me. I remember before I first bought my first investment property, I thought about it. Finally, luckily I had some guys that had bought ones. It's like, Fergie, just do it. And now, that's how I'm retiring, is with investment property. So I love that, with the stress. And if you don't know something, my good friend Leah Woodford once said, get your asking gear, right? Ask people. Now you have AI. You can actually ask AI a lot.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Yeah. So how do you want your dash remembered? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date. Hopefully it's way down the road. Okay. But how does Manuj want his dash remembered?
I I want to be remembered somebody who transformed at least 1 billion lives with technology, and I have a crazy mission in life to help 20 people win the Nobel Prize. So if that happens, that'll be pretty cool, and I hope that people will remember me for that.
Bro, and I can see you doing it. It's a huge goal. And there's no way they can't be transformed. And even the millions of people that you've already have. I mean, that's fantastic. So what do you think people misunderstand the most about you?
I think, well, I mean, the obvious is that there are millions of Indians talking about technology, and why
I'm
people
sorry
should
to
listen
laugh,
to
but it's
yeah
the truth, man.
yeah. So why should people listen to me? And that is the first barrier I have to cross before people pay attention to me, what I'm saying. Other than that, once they have started listening to what I say, then they are they pay more attention, because they know that what I'm sharing with them is for their benefit, not only their benefit, but for their future generations' benefit.
Wow. That's sometimes they don't want to hear it, right? But you're doing it to share for the benefit of future generations. That's amazing. That's fantastic. So what, if anything, then keeps you up at night?
Um, Actually, now that I understand a lot more about the world, I don't I don't have any worries, because I know whatever challenges come my way, uh, two things will happen: either I will learn,
Sure.
or I will overcome that challenge and move to the next level. Right.
Win or
So
learn. That's what we call
exactly,
it. In martial arts. We call
exactly,
it win or learn. You don't lose, dude.
exactly.
You learn from it. That's awesome. So what are your non-negotiables in life?
Family, my sense for adventure, my sense of curiosity to learn about the world,
I was
about
just
the
gonna say,
universe.
dude, curiosity is your superpower, man, to
Yeah,
do what
yeah,
you do, bro.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Love it. I love it. So what is what's Manuj's definition of a life well lived?
the thing is that a lot of people don't know much about themselves. So I think the first uh, insight I had was how to develop self awareness. So when you ask me what are your non negotiables, if you had asked me that question like 2 years ago, I will be like, I don't know what that means, but now I do. Life well lived is to figure out what your non-negotiables are, and then every day make every decision based on those non-negotiables. If you are able to do that every day, that's a life well lived.
Hell yes,
Mhm.
absolutely, man. I know that. I mean, you take care of yourself, your body, and stuff like that. That's where I have to start, because things hurt now that never hurt before.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
my
yeah,
non-negotiable. I have a
yeah, yeah.
rebounder, like a trampoline. I'm on it. I have my
Mhm.
like 15 minutes in the morning, and then it's really getting into serving the rest of myself, my mind, and stuff.
Mhm.
But I love what you just said. That's awesome. And time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. We are back in news. We're going to meet up someday. I know we are. And we'll talk about some of these questions in person, probably talk 15, 20 minutes on them. But today, you got 5 seconds with no explanations, and they can all be answered that way. I promise you. You ready to level up?
Sounds good.
Let's do it. Manuj, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
It is what it is. Just keep going.
I love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Meditation.
Beautiful. You see me walking down the street, you're like, man, Fergie looks like he's in his doldrums a little bit. What book might you hand me?
Principles of Work and Life from Ray Dalio.
Yes, Dalio, love it, love it. What's your most commonly used emoji, if any, when you text?
Smiley.
Excellent. Nicknames growing up?
Manu.
Manu. Beautiful. Any hidden talent or superpower that nobody knows about until now?
Breakdancing.
No way. Can I ask how old you are?
I'm 48.
Okay, so we're right there, man. So you're in the
Yeah.
80s with break-in and
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Monopoly.
All right, me too. Headline for your life.
Uh, Bootstrapping your dreams.
I love it. Any superstitions you carry around with you?
Not anymore.
Not anymore? Okay, very cool. Very cool. That's a super sign of maturity, man. I used to have some really weird ones, and then they're not even around anymore. Thank you for saying it like that. That's beautiful. Go-to ice cream flavor.
Vanilla.
Beautiful. There's a sandwich called the Bootstrap Manu. Build that sandwich for me.
I think lots of vegetables, lots of spices. I think let's just keep it veggie and spicy.
Love
keep
it.
it simple. Yeah.
Favorite charity and organization you'd like to give your time and money to?
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Thank you.
Kids are the
Absolutely. Last question. You can elaborate on this one, but what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
I would say 90s.
90s? All right. All right. Although you have the 80s breakdancing music, man.
Yeah, no. 80s and 90s. Yeah.
Do you have parachute pants?
No.
No?
I used to have them, not anymore.
Dude, I found some literally. I'm kind of a big guy. I'm like 6'1", 240, and I literally found some at like a yard, like down here. It's like heaven's waiting room because a lot of old people here unfortunately passed away. Now I go to estate sales, and there was an 80s party coming up in a couple of weeks, and I was like, I bought them. I got to send you a pic, dude. You'll love it.
Yeah.
So, Manuj, how can we find you, my friend?
Yeah, just Google my name or find me on LinkedIn or visit my website. Just Google my name. I mean, whatever the first link comes in, just contact me there.
Yeah, and Manuj is Manuj, and his last name Aggarwal is Aggarwal, and that'll be in the show notes as well as everything else. And also, you got to check out his podcast. I listen. I've been following Manuj for a while, so I'm kind of like trying to tone down the fanboy thing I got going on here, because I've been wanting to like really pick his brain. And but Bootstrapping Your Dreams show, you must check it out. Literally, it's a top 1% podcast globally under listen notes. So Manuj, if you can do me a favor and leave us with one last knowledge nugget about life that we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Well, life is going to give you what you need right now, not what you want. So start really learning about who you are inside, because whatever you are inside is going to manifest in your reality.
Oh my gosh, that's deep, bro. I have quotes after quotes here. In squad, I have 3 pages of notes, and my good friend Manuj came from humble beginnings, worked in a factory in India. He was motivated to really level up, and he really found it in technology. He built tech for industries that people use, real estate, across the board. He's been noticed by like Bill Gates and Barack Obama. He wants you to learn like he did, to learn to create massive returns with little resources. And with that, AI can be used to help you with that. Remember, Manuj reminded us that AI has been in our life for years, all the way back to the caveman days. That example of killing a bigger animal was just hit home. That was the seriously good knowledge nuggets. Humans always fear the new things until it's the thing. Like he said, if you look back at the news, you watch Katie Couric going, what's that @ symbol? Or Brian Gumble, what's that @ symbol? Like we live in that within our emails right now. How can you use AI to really level up your life? He reminded us that education is remembering things, or do we really want to understand things, and how you can apply those things that we can understand. And so much good as AI is used for climate change, diseases, motivation. And I told my story on how it really helped save a coaching conversation. My good friend Manuj is doing things for the intention, not the attention. He's not out there saying, look at me, look at me. He's doing it to better the world. He's planting trees he's never going to sit in the shade of. You know, he reminded us that life is going to give you what you need, not what you want. We need to look in really inward, inside, to really manifest that reality. And that's what my good friend Manuj does. He levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's humble. Yet he's hungry. He's a handsome devil. I absolutely love his guts. He's earned his varsity squad letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, Manuj.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Awesome, man. Chat soon.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.